Why Jesus? Now, I guess you'd be able to say that that question would be one of the most important questions we could ask ourselves, especially because there are so many different religions and philosophies and ideas that we could put our faith in or live our lives by. So, why Jesus? Now, if you asked a bunch of different people why they chose to follow Jesus, you would get a whole bunch of different answers. Because it's a very personal thing to make that decision to follow Jesus. And we all have our different stories, and He meets us in different places in our story. So, what I want to do is share with you just 3 reasons why someone like myself, so letting you know these are some of my own personal reasons, why someone would choose to follow Jesus at some point in their spiritual journey. Now, one of them is because Jesus, He helps us to find the meaning of our lives. Now, a lot of people will go through a time where they sort of are figuring out, why am I here? Why do I exist? Why am I on this earth? When we choose to follow Jesus, we join with Him in walking with Him, learning about who we are, why God created us the way that He did, why He put us on this earth. And something so simple as believing that my reason of being is to live for Jesus and to walk with Him is a powerful thing. That we can get out of bed in the morning and say, I know I have a reason that I am here, that I am alive, and that God is with me. Another reason that people would follow Jesus is to deal with the issue of what is wrong with human beings. Now, when we look throughout history, we would come to the conclusion that we are very good at being bad, especially to each other, to ourselves, to the planet. Look around even the news today, and we'd come to the conclusion that there's so much hate and prejudice and violence and selfishness in the world. The Bible calls that sin, that as the human race, we have turned away from God and we've wanted to do things on our own, according to our own will. That has caused us to do all of these things. And we can even just look inside of ourselves, and I know for myself that I am capable of anger and prejudice and hatred and selfishness and all of these things. The Bible teaches us that we have this problem, and Jesus is the response to that problem. That He died on the cross that we can be forgiven and reconciled with God. The Spirit of Jesus will help us to change. And finally, we know that in everything that we do, we are doing it for our own happiness. Or what you might want to call joy, or maybe peace in our lives. When we follow Jesus, what we discover is that Jesus is all about love. That His death on the cross is the greatest act of love that we have seen, that He taught us that God loves us, and that our lives are to be filled with love. And when our lives are filled with love, that brings us and shows us real and true happiness or joy or blessedness, peace and hope, all of these things that are inside of us, and therefore nothing in this world can take away, no circumstance can take away. That when our lives are filled with God's love, we discover and experience that love, and it brings us that joy that we are always searching for. So these are just a few reasons that someone might choose to follow Jesus and answer the question of why Jesus. It's because He brings meaning and purpose, that He deals with the problem that we have of sin, and because He is love. And in it we find joy and happiness. It's our hope that you as well would one day be able to answer the question, why Jesus? Thank you for listening.